Will you guys please make welcome Miss Kaylee Estes.
So I don't want your shadow to kill you like it almost killed me. In my 20s, by all appearances, I was living a pretty good life. I had a serious boyfriend, I had really good friends, my family was awesome, I had a good job. I even got to, live in my strengths of being a good leader. The problem was that when that kind of got out of control, that leadership bit, it got ugly. I would get really angry, and I would lash out, and I would bulldoze at people. I didn't know it, but I was living in my shadow. You see, your shadow is when your strength gets out of hand. It gets unchecked. And it's in this shadow that I had this belief that I was the only one who could make my life happen and make my life happen the way I wanted it so that it was going to be good and perfect and right. And I believed that because I was a good leader, and so I was leading my life. Most of the time, I was a happy person. I was nice. I enjoyed going out for adventures, trying things new, and just, going to new restaurants, all of that stuff. But then there were these moments, like I said, when I would just boil up inside with just this rage and this anger. And a lot of times it happened when it was just uncalled for. So let me give you a couple examples. So one example would have been, let's say all week, my boyfriend and I were planning on going dancing at the club, because let me tell you, that was my favorite thing in my 20s. And so Friday would come, and I would see my boyfriend, and he would say, hey, babe, it's been a really long week, and I'm tired, and I had a really long day. I just really want to spend time with you. Let's watch a movie, and maybe grab some dinner, and just kind of hang out. What? What are you talking about? We've been planning about this all week. I want to go dancing. We're going dancing. I don't care what you say. Go take a nap if you need to. We are going dancing. So I would do that. I would yell. I would scream. I would just dig my heels in, and I'd get my way, and we'd go dancing. And I was happy. Or maybe another example would have been when my mom would call me. Hey, Kay. What are you doing for dinner on Saturday night? I'd love for you to come over. We haven't seen you in a while, and we miss you. I'd love for you to come over. Now, mind you, it's Thursday. Mom, are you kidding me? I already have 3 other things that we're supposed to be doing. I think my friend Ashley and I might go do something, and Mark and I might go do something. What are you talking about? That's just too stressful. I don't know if I can put that in there. I don't know. That's not going to happen. Are you kidding? Why would you call me so late? That would go on. I would get angry. My mom would be upset. But I would get my way. I didn't have to go to dinner. I could go hang out with my friends. So as you can see, both times, I reacted in a way because what I had planned, what I wanted to have happen, didn't happen. And someone was trying to mess with that plan. And every single time I would dig my heels in, I would become more insistent. I would get angry. I could feel it in my gut. And I wanted things to go my way. And the sad thing is that I didn't really care who I hurt as that happened. You see, it felt safe and it felt powerful to have control. And I, for whatever reason, needed that safety and that feeling of power. Because I felt like if I controlled things and if I controlled people even, then things would go right and my life would be better. I was really, really wrong. By my late 20s, my life was not going right by any means. I had broken relationships. My boyfriend and I had broken up. My friends and I had broken up. My relationships with my family weren't great. I ended up having to get another job. Ultimately, I was just living a very unfulfilled life. I kept trying, though. I kept trying to pick myself up. And it seemed like anything I did just wasn't ever enough. Nothing that I could do was enough. I figured, I'm this great leader who can get things done, so I can just pick myself up, I can do it. But even my strengths weren't working for me. They were actually working against me. I realized now that my shadow was killing me. Now, some of you can relate to this story. You have a shadow similar to mine. You're a little controlling, potentially domineering. But some of you can, and some of you are probably sitting there going, oh, that's interesting, and too bad that you were like that. I'm glad I wasn't dating you. But the important thing to know is that we all do have shadows. And as I was doing some research and trying to figure out, a little bit more about mine and get some relief, I came across the Enneagram. And I realized that there are 9 types of people, and each of those types of people have a strength and they have a shadow. So I'm going to walk through these 9 types pretty quickly, and I want you guys to pay attention because I want you to see if you see yourself in one of these 9 types. And they'll be up on the screen so you can see them. So type 1s, their strengths are that they like order, they like things to be done in a certain way, but their shadow is that they end up becoming rigid and very perfectionistic. Type 2s, I love them personally. They like to help. They're humble, they're altruistic, but their helping is to gain the love. And so they end up becoming a martyr, and sometimes they manipulate relationships so that they can get more love. Then we have 3s. 3s are also awesome. They love to achieve things, and they love to be valued for that achievement. They're also extremely authentic. However, their shadow is that they become deceitful. They become deceitful to themselves and also to others. And then 4s actually understand their emotions, right? Who does that? And they understand other people's emotions. They're extremely original, they're unique, they can express themselves very, very well. But with 4s, their shadow is that they end up playing a victim role, and they kind of have this self-loathing that happens. 5s are investigators. They're very observant. They like to gather information. And a lot of times in their fields, they're the experts that you always want to go to because they just have all that knowledge in their head. The problem is, though, is that they get stuck in their heads. They get stuck in that knowledge, and they end up withdrawing. 6s, they are the people who you always want around. I feel like they're kind of like the CIA people because they're always prepared. Always. You and I, we probably have like plan A and B. They have plan C, D, E, F, G, A. They keep going, right? They always know what could possibly go wrong, and they have a plan for it. The problem with that, though, is that their shadow comes up, and they can have crippling anxiety, and they can become very paranoid. 7s are so much fun. Everybody wants a 7 in their Thank you. Everybody wants a 7 in their world, wants a 7 at their parties, and they're great. They always are up for adventure. They're joyful. They're exuberant. But the problem is that when their shadow comes, they avoid pain, and they avoid it at all costs. They also become reckless and irresponsible. And then 8s, us. 8s are courageous. We're good leaders. We're protectors by nature. But we also become controlling and domineering, as we heard from my story. And then we have 9s. 9s are just the sweetest. They are peacemakers. They're calm. You want to be around them when you have anxiety. They care about people's opinions. But what happens is that they end up not caring about their own opinion. They withdraw. They can become numb and apathetic. So as I went through those 9 things, I wonder if any of those stood out to you, whether it was the strengths or the weaknesses and the shadows. Thankfully, Jesus knows that we all have shadows. And even better, he has a plan that's going to change our lives and make us better. In Matthew 4, verse 16, Jesus says, "The people living in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned." He's telling us that for those of us who are in that darkness, who are living in that shadow, we're near death. But the amazing thing is that God's light is going to shine on that, and we are going to come to life. And that light is his truth and his love. Once we have that light, our shadow won't overtake us and won't be able to kill us. There was a night in my 20s, my late 20s, when everything had crumbled around me. Didn't have the boyfriend, friends were gone, just everything had crumbled. And I was in my car, and I was screaming and yelling at God because, of course, it was his fault, not mine. And I was crying, and it was that ugly sobbing, it's not pretty. And I just remembered that I was so shocked because God audibly told me that he was enough. And I was like, I don't know, what do you mean? And I thought about it some more, and then I realized, oh, I'm not enough. He's enough. Everything that I was trying to do, the plans, the control that I was trying to have, it was actually derailing his plan for me. The good plan, the plan that was going to be best for me in my life. And I realized in that moment that all I needed to do was trust him. Trust him and let him be the leader of my life instead of me being the leader of my life. Now, years later, I still love being a leader. It's still a strength of mine. It's what God gave me. I love making decisions. I love getting plans, and I love it when a plan comes together. And I also love having a modicum of control. That's still something I like. But I keep that whole part of me in check with God's love and his truth. And I go back to that night all the time. And I also go back to the tools that I learned with the Enneagram. But the biggest thing I do is I try to stop leading myself, and I try to let God lead me instead. So if you're living in a shadow, if one of those 9 things that we talked about earlier really resonated with you, then I have a challenge for you. When you go home today, I want you to pray. I want you to pray that God will shine a light in your shadow, and that God will shine a light on your true strength. Because I want you all to live. And I don't want your shadow to kill you like it almost killed me.